Hi, my name is Carmen McMeans, and today I am reviewing a case study that typical social workers may experience at some point within their careers. Specifically, I am reviewing the story of Aaron and Amber, who are two minors living in a two-parent household, but under impoverished conditions. Um, Initially, the story background starts with a neighbor who anonymously reports the concern she has for a family living next door to her, which is Aaron and Amber's family. Due to the children showing potential signs of neglect, the children are seeking food from their neighbors, and also there's a smell, like a very bad odor that is coming from the home, and there's just always a lot of suspicious behavior around the home, which has caused someone outside of the home to find this very concerning on the behalf of the children and the parents. Um, Next, this story leads into the authorities, the police, and a social worker reaching out, connecting with each other to approach the home of this family, just to investigate and see if there is a potential, if there are a lot of factors building up to make a potential case for the sake of the children and the overall health of the home. The authorities and the social worker do approach the family's house at some point, and they are doing like a investigation to observe any um physical signs of neglect and just overall conditions of the home. The authorities and social worker do notice that the parents do seem to have a drug use issue, and the children are being neglected due to not having improper clothing and just seeming very unsanitary within their space. The the parents initially, specifically the mother, is very resistant to receiving help, and she avoids the contact of having outsiders intervening inside of her household. However, the social worker does use their skill sets to advocate to the mom that this is not a judgmental state. It's only for the sake of her household to help find solutions on how to help her um, overcome whatever issues or challenges she may be struggling with. As a result of this, I have decided to choose the micro level intervention, specifically because the case of this story does not contain a group scenario, neither is it something that I would say is on the advocacy level. This is specifically within a single household, and whatever techniques and intervention skills that the social worker and authorities may see fit to be applied to this story, this is just for a single family, and it will only relate to that specific family, and it is not something that I would say is on a group or advocacy level intervention. So the purpose of me choosing micro is there were different factors listed in the excerpt that I read, and there were indications of when the social worker first approached the mother of the household, who was the only parent at the household when authorities and the social worker came. She was very resistant and kind of refused any forms of help or any forms of intervention. Next, the social worker did interview the parent privately and the oldest child privately, and this was just to observe any commentation that they were making as to aligning answers for the case of their situation. Based off what the case worker was observing was that, of course, the family was living in a household where illegal drugs specifically, were being used. The children were lacking food. It was very unsanitary in the overall condition of the home. So the social worker does take initiative to remove the children from the home and place them with proper caregivers, which is a better start for the children. And this is definitely, like I said, micro intervention because it does not relate to a public widespread of people. This is only specific to a certain family. So the children are placed in caregivers, just overall protection, and the mother is placed under custody at first, but then the social worker does intervene even more, not on just removing the kids from the household, but finding a long-lasting longevity outcome for this specific household by offering the mother different assessment techniques to potentially help her overcome whatever issues that she may be struggling. And considering that she is pregnant, this is something that they may find necessary to find long-term support for the mother, just for the sake of her baby, who eventually will be a part of the system as well if the child is not cared for, or if the mother is not finding positive ways out of her situation. So that is the overall aspect of the case study that I have reviewed, and I do believe that micro level intervention is a very necessary component for this case because it does help different families, specific families, within their concerns without group or larger scale advocacies being involved. And thank you for listening today.